Hey everybody, here's a nice fun game from 1923 with Abraham with the white pieces and Janny with the black, and it goes like this: E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, bishop E2, which is a little passive, whereas black plays bishop to C5. And now white plays knight takes E5, black takes the knight, and then of course the pawn fork at D4 to regain the material. The bishop retreats to D6, the pawn takes the knight, and the bishop recaptures. And now white decides to kick at the bishop and play F4, and so the bishop retreats back to D6. White goes ahead and castles, and black decides to get in a quick check with the bishop at C5, and the white king goes into the corner. Now black just plays the pawn to D6 to let his other bishop out, and now white goes ahead and develops the bishop back out to C4. Now why he didn't do that in one move instead of two, who knows. And now black decides to get a little bold, and he plays his queen out to H4. Now white could of course drive the queen away just by playing the pawn up to G3, but instead white decides to get bold too, and he plays his queen up to D5, threatening checkmate at F7. Now of course if black wanted to, he could simply just play the knight up to H6 and protect the pawn. But instead he plays a rather devious move, offering white a lot of material. He plays bishop to E6, leaving the b-pawn completely unprotected, as well as the rook behind it. And white obliges and takes the b-pawn. And now, instead of trying to defend his rook or move his rook away, black just goes ahead and takes that bishop on C4. And so white says, well, thank you very much for the rook, and he takes the rook at A8. And now to get out of check, the black king moves up to D7, and since white's rook is attacked by the bishop on C4, he moves the rook out of danger to D1. And now black does another devious move, which he offers his other rook, and black plays knight F6, and white says, gulp, thank you very much. And now black can start an attack. You'll notice that all of black's pieces are developed, while you'll notice that all of white's queenside pieces are still sitting on their original squares, and the queen herself is completely out of the action. And so black plays knight G4, obviously threatening mate at H2. And so white just plays H3 to stop that little threat. And now black plays the bishop to E2, attacking the rook. Now, the rook really only has two squares it can move to, D2 and D5, and either one of them, for instance, if he plays rook to D2, black can simply sweep down with the queen, queen to E1, checkmate. So, white realizes there's no saving that rook, and he can't move it off the back row there. So, black just goes ahead and takes the g-pawn at G7. Obviously hoping to be able to take the f-pawn as well with check, but he never gets the chance, because black pretty much ends the game very quickly. And if you'd like to pause the video now and see what the next move is, I'll wait for you. Okay. The move, of course, is queen takes H3, check. And now the only move that white has to get out of check is to take the queen with the g-pawn. And now black simply plays bishop to F3, checkmate. I've seen several double rook sacrifice games over the years, but I've always thought this was one of the more interesting ones. And I hope you enjoyed it too.